Hi, and welcome back to terryscookbook.com. My name is Terry Searcy. Thank you for joining me today. So today it's about some paleo tortillas that you can also convert into making into crepes or naan bread. I'm also going to show you a Indian fried bread. That way you can use that for tacos, as a donut, and I'm also going to show you the traditional Hispanic flour tortillas. First, we're going to get started with the paleo non-crepe tortilla. And the reason why I say that is because depending on the amount of liquid you add to it will depend on the consistency of the product you're making. So whether if it's a crepe, so obviously if you add more liquid to it, it'll be more crepe-like. If you add less, it'll be more of a naan type, and then you can add a garlic to it and top it with whatever you want. And if you make it just in between, then that'll be more like of a tortilla consistency. So what I have here is I have a half a cup of almond flour. You can use either half a cup of the arrowroot or the tapioca flour. And I have 1 cup of almond milk. You can also use coconut milk. You can use any type of nut milk that you want to use for this. And the reason why I have the tapioca flour out here is because it also says made from cassava root. So I wanted those who aren't sure if they might have cassava root flour in your cabinets, so that way you can use that as well. So that's why I have that out. I am going to have the recipe on the bottom of the video. So I'm going to combine this, and I have my skillet already on, heating up. So I'm going to mix this together. If you know you're going to make naan bread out of this, if you want to add other seasonings to it, you can. You can add the salt to it. You can add garlic, salt, whatever you want. And I'm going to mix this a little bit at a time, because like I said, if you use the whole thing, you might end up with a crepe consistency. And I want this to be more of a tortilla consistency. So kind of in between. This is a pour batter. It's not going to be a ball. It's a pour batter. And some of you might have noticed that when my husband is filming me, I'm at the stove and he doesn't get to see things very well. Our kitchen is very small and crammed, so I am going to be pausing. That way he can get to the cooktop and show you how it works and how it looks a little better there. All right, so I'm going to mix this. This is about the consistency I want. Kind of like what is this kind of like? It's a little bit thinner than a pancake batter, not quite as thick as a waffle batter. Now you let this stand for about 5 minutes. So we're going to let this stand. We're going to come back, and my husband's going to come around and watch me pour this onto the griddle. And as you can see, I still have a lot of milk left over. If I used all of this, it would definitely be a lot watery consistency, and then that's when I would use it as a crepe. So we'll be right back. All right, welcome back. I have let my batter set for about 5 minutes, so it has thickened up just ever so slightly, not too much. If you feel that this is too thick, then go ahead and add a little bit more of your liquid to it. My skillet is not on very high because it does heat up pretty well. It's a non-stick. If you have one that is not a non-stick, you're definitely going to have to oil it down with some like high heat olive oil or avocado oil. And what does that mean? That means like the avocado oil, it says perfect for high heat. There is also an avocado oil that says perfect for high heat. You definitely want a high heat. That way it's not smoking and it doesn't burn. All right, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spoon out my first one. If you want it to look more like a naan bread, well then make it more, if you eat naan, you know what it looks like. It looks kind of like a shoe kind of looking. All right. And I'm going to let this cook. I'm going to pour a couple of them on here. And it'll start to bubble a little bit. Now I made half the recipe, so that's why I used only half a cup of almond flour, and that obviously you want more of these. These freeze really well, by the way, as well, you know, that way you know. So if you want to use the whole recipe, I know some of you are running out of freezer space, so that's why I'm only doing half the recipe, because I too am running out of freezer space. I've been freezing a lot of things, and I realize that some of you are in apartments and have smaller places to store things at. All right. I don't know if my husband can see this or not. I'm afraid to tilt it. I'm going to tilt it a little bit. You'll start to see little bubbles start to form, kind of like pancakes, kind of like the pancake texture. And we're going to let that go. All right, right now we're letting a little bit more of the bubbles form. So I am now going to get ready pretty soon here to flip it over. I'm going to check it to see where it's at. I'll let it stay a little longer. And we'll be right back when I get ready to flip it over. Welcome back. I'm going to get ready to flip these over. I've been checking them to see how brown they've been. They've been a little on the brown side. I'm just pushing them down. Letting them get a little brown. So at this point in time, I can start rubbing them with some of the olive oil if I want to put some spices on there. If I just want to leave it as a thicker tortilla, that's fine. I'm going to allow this to just brown on the other side. And we'll be right back. All right, my little naan bread is ready. It's kind of twisted on the other side as well. And I have a little bit of olive oil here. I'm going to just put brush a little bit of olive oil on it. And I didn't cut up any fresh garlic, but I do have some garlic salt, and I have a little bit of parsley, so I'm just going to, because I didn't add any salt to my recipe, I'm just going to add a little bit of that. And there you go. So it is a soft tortilla kind of texture. It tastes really good. So you can add whatever you want to this. You can thin this recipe down, make it more like a crepe. You can play around with it, and so you can get the right textures that you want and the consistency. Thank you for watching this part of the video. The next part of the video we're going to set up for making homemade flour tortillas and Indian fried bread.